Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is our pleasure to welcome you to our first webinar from OpenSchool Nigeria. Today, we are going to discuss a pedagogical discourse with stakeholders on transitioning from traditional-based learning to remote and blended classroom. And this is going to be the outline of our today's presentation. The first thing we are going to do is just to check the temperature of the participants. The second one is just to provide an overview of definition of terms. Then we will delve into stakeholders' role. Then we look at the challenges, and lastly, we are going to look at the questions and answer session. But before we start, you can use your phone to scan if you have any question, or you can use this. You can use this website link, slide.apple.app.google.lzhlt, to send your question when we are making our presentation, or you can use this QR scanner to scan with your phone. Then it will take you to where you are going to send in your question. Before we start, we are going to have a pulse check. So what we are going to do here, I hope you are seeing my screen, please. If you are seeing my screen, can you please indicate in this chat that you are seeing my screen? Please indicate here this chat that you are listening to me and seeing my screen. Great.
We are not seeing the screen.
You are not seeing the screen?
Yes.
This screen?
Yeah.
You are not seeing anything?
Well, me, I'm not seeing the screen. I don't know for others anyway.
Okay, let's see what others are saying.
Okay.
Okay, others are saying we are listening and seeing it. Okay, I think it's from you. Probably you can check back.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, so what we are going to do is just we are going to take the next 5 minutes. What we are going to do is please put this joinpd.com on your browser. If you are on smartphone or you are using your computer, just go to joinpd.com. It will prompt you to provide a code. Just put this aboba. You will see this screen. Just put aboba.com here and answer a question, please. In your browser, put joinpd.com, here joinpd.com, and put this code. So, okay. So far, only 3 people were able to respond. Only 3 people. So our eight people, 8 participants. We have somebody who is very angry. There is a noise from the someone's background. Could you please Mr. Abdulhamid, Dr. Abdulhamid, I think you have a background noise there. Engineer LS, also there is a background noise from you, please.
Okay.
So for those that just joined, what we ask you to do, please go to joincd.com. You'll be prompted to put a code that is above. I just put the code. This is the website you are going to use, joincd.com. Go to joincd.com. You'll be prompted to put a code above, then put it there. We have at least 3 minutes remaining for you to finish the exercise. Out of 31 people, only 11 participants were able to join. Go to joincd.com. If you are just joining, put AVOBA, AVOBA, and join the code. And tell us how you are feeling today. Most of the participants are excited and energized. Someone is proud and beaming. You just have 2 minutes to cast your vote. Tell us how you are feeling. If you are using your mobile phone, there is every tendency you will only look at how you are feeling today. Then there is a place that you will click so that it will ask you to respond. So far, 17 participants cast their vote. So like, as I was saying, if you are just joining us, please go to this website, joincd.com. In any browser on your smartphone or on your PC, put joincd.com. It's a straightforward thing. Then you will be prompted to put a code, this code above, to answer the following question. How are you feeling today? We have less than 1 minute to cast your vote. We have 5 participants that are happy or thrilled, 9 participants, now there are 10 that they are excited, 3 participants are feeling relaxed, and 1 person is really, really angry. We hope by the end of this presentation, you will be happy. We have 21 minutes. 16 seconds. Okay, the time is done. So now, today, 2 of us, myself, Najib A.A. Gambo, and I think some of you are acquainted with me. So my name is Najib A. Gambo, and I'm a Google certified educator, 1, 2, and certified trainer. I'm also a Google Applied Digital Skills trainer. I'm a Leopold certified educator and Leopold distance learning expert. So I'm one of those that will make presentation today on pedagogical discourse on transitioning from traditional based learning to remote and distance, to remote and blended classroom. Next is my colleague,
Good
Dr.
morning.
Noura. Sorry?
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Noura Tijani Abubakar, and I'm a lecturer at Jigawa State Institute of Information Technology, Kazauri, and I'm currently pursuing a postgraduate program here in London. Thank you.
It's almost done, inshallah, just in the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
So, throughout the presentation, we'll be looking at this question. This presentation, in other words, this presentation is guided by this research question. What does it take to transition from traditional based learning to remote and blended classroom? That is the question we are interested in answering throughout this presentation. However, before we start, I think there is need for some of us to understand the difference between when we are talking about remote learning and that of blended learning. So when we talk about remote learning throughout this presentation, we mean a situation where students and educators or information sources are not physically present in a traditional classroom environment. Information is relayed through technology. It can occur synchronously or asynchronously with self-paced learning activities that take place independently of the instructor. You know, with this, I think we are having a problem with the... Nora, can you please mute those who are having noise at the background, please?
Yes, I'm checking them now.
Okay.
I will go through and then mute some of them.
Okay. So that is remote learning for you. The next is to understand what we mean by blended learning throughout this presentation. When we talk about blended learning, we refer to the combination of asynchronous and synchronous learning activities in one course. A situation whereby students will be at class physically and sometimes they will take lecture online. That is what we call blended learning. So, like we said earlier, when we were presenting the outline of this presentation, we are going to look at the stakeholders. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we are not looking at two components of stakeholders, that is the government and the private organization. Because if you look alike in China, where when this issue of COVID comes up, the government, as well as stakeholders came up with a concept of what they call disrupted classroom and undisrupted learning. They provide a roadmap on how the government, the central government, as well as province, will liaise with one another to provide an undisrupted learning. So unlike in this country, where even in the previous speech by Mr. President and other northern governors, when they decide that the course will be closed, none of them were able to even have 2 sentences or 3 sentences about how our schools are going to operate. So all we had was schools will be closed. So since we are trying to solve an immediate problem and the government hasn't come up with anything to some extent, so we are going to focus on school proprietors. We are going to concern ourselves with teachers, with parents and students for the purpose of this presentation. So if you have expectation that you are going to discuss about the roadmap from the government and private organizations for this presentation, we are not limiting our scope in that perspective. So we are only going to discuss about the school, proprietors, the teachers, the parents, as well as the students. So now let us see the role of school proprietors in this regard. One of the first roles we are going to look at has to do with the policies for supporting student learning. I learned that many states and some of the private schools had initiated that they need to do something because of this issue of COVID. So, but the problem is, do we have policies for supporting student learning? It is just not for us to start something that we do not have the policies. When we talk about policies, we mean what are the policies regarding the purchase of the hardware? Is it from the school, from the students? Are we going to use like Chromebook, where students will be protected from other privacy and security issues on Facebook? Or how do we going to use this hardware? Or are we going to use bring your own devices, where students will bring their devices, the management will configure the device so that they will not be susceptible to phishing, to other malicious attack and all other things. So if you are coming up with a policy as a school proprietor, what is the policy for using all the machines and the policy of using software, as well as responsibilities and the management? Who is responsible for what and how? How do we manage all these devices? Not only that, what are the privacy issues we will be interested, and what are the security issues, as well as accessibility? Because like, how do we make sure that at least students have access to devices, have access to this learning? And not only having access to devices, within us there are people with learning disabilities. How do we make sure we all incorporate their interests? And also, we need to have a safety and maintenance policy, the purchase policy, the technical support, the misuse and complaint, and what we call an acceptable use of all this software and tools. So this is the first role of the school management, to come up with a policy of using these tools. Besides that, then we look at the software tools and the platform. For those who listened to my BBC interview on Friday last week, BBC had this program they call Ra'ayi, I think Ra'ayi Riga. So one of the problems they talk about is the issue of privacy issues. Some parents were really disturbed that their students are being reached by people who are not supposed to reach them. So as a school proprietor, are we going to allow to use any device, or probably we need to use devices that will really make an impact? So against this backdrop.
Okay, wait, Dr. Najib, sorry.
Okay.
Please, Ismail, can you stop presenting? It's like you hijacked the screen. Ismail Muhammad, please.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I think, oh, Najib, you can take over the screen because we cannot see it now.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe everyone can see. Yeah.
Is it showing up now?
Yeah.
Okay. So when we talk about software tools, if we are really interested in providing efficient and interesting learning environment to our people, I think the school proprietors must look into the possibility of using learning management system. This learning management system is a interactive, or is a management tool that allows the school management, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, and students to interact with one another. It allows teachers to share tools and resources to students to track their progress and all other things. So at this moment, there are pre-learning management systems and there are those that schools will have to buy. So one of the things for them, one of the role of the teachers or of the proprietors is to provide learning management system if they really want to really work in this remote and blended classroom. That is another thing is for them to identify the type of screen recording and video editing tools that their teachers will use and both the teachers and students will use. They will also need to find the premium video content that they will use in their flipped classroom. Another thing has to do with live lectures. So the school management will have to agree on the learning platform they will use in providing live lecture. We will come back to each and every one of them. Then what tools and platform are they going to use to provide assessment and feedback, and what are the accessibility tools for people with learning disabilities. Another thing, okay, before I continue, I think, Nora, you have something to say about this?
I think you've covered all what I'm going to say, so I think we can move on. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for example, school proprietors need to understand that it is not every learning management system that they need, because like it depends on the type of schools. For example, you will find out that some schools are like what they call K-12 in the US, that is from kindergarten up to secondary schools. Some are from primary, from nursery to primary 6, some are from junior. So it depends on the age of the student that will determine the type of learning management system a school will do. So, but before you choose the learning management system, some of the checklists you need to identify is number one. Does this learning management system integrate with other technologies? That is the first question. The second one is, does this learning management give access to premium content that will be used by your teachers when they are flipping or when they are trying to teach students? Another thing has to do with accessibility features. For example, if you have a hard-hearing student, if you have a dyslexic student, if you have an autistic student, if you have students that is having a color-blind issue, what are the types, would this technology take care of all these types of people? If it is not going to take care, then you need to look for another alternative. Then there is supplemental curriculum. Most of these learning management systems they do have, and there is content creation in various formats. For example, a teacher will want to create video, a teacher will want to create an image, a teacher will want to create a graph, somebody will want to share. So this learning management system have all these, or it doesn't have. Another thing has to do with the interactivity tools. I mean, in this learning management system, is there a situation whereby students and teachers will collaborate to create a knowledge? Is there a possibility where students will have a live question and answer session? A situation whereby students can have games and other things? That is what we mean by interactivity tools. And data and reporting system. This data and reporting, does this learning management allow me to understand on whether when I ask students to read this passage or to watch this video, does this student take the time to watch the video? Is there analytics that will tell me that this student was able to do what I exactly asked him to do? So this is really important for us to understand the effort put by students. And does it have a service support in case if there is a problem? For example, last 2 weeks, there was this problem with the Zoom where a lot of lectures, a lot of people were canceled and people became helpless. And sometimes you need a learning management system that will provide a timer if you are asking the students to do certain activity or you are giving them an exam or a test. And does it have the capability for differentiation? Because we have different learning styles, learning ability So how do you differentiate between students that are slow learners and active learners? How do you differentiate? So you need to think about the type of learning management system and the collaboration you are going to use. Another thing that we can call as the role of teachers. Another thing that has to do with the role of the teachers, I mean the school management, is providing training and support. How do you mean by training and support? You can see we have different learning management systems. For example, I just mentioned 6 like Classcraft, Leopard, Edulastic, Canvas, Google Classroom, so there is this Schoology, so many of them, hundreds of them. So suppose a school decides to use Leopard, or it decides to use Canvas, or CISO, or Classroom. So the school management will have to take the responsibility of training the teachers, because it is not only the ability to provide a live lecture or a self-paced lecture, then how do I use all the other tools that we mentioned earlier within the learning management system? So it is the responsibility of the school management to train its staff to be able to do this. Not only that, I think, Nura, you can say something about this.
Okay, yeah. Regarding the searching skills, you know, there are a lot of search engines out there, and we need to be specific on there are a lot that are designed for a specific subject matter. For example, if you're looking for videos, you go to a video searching, platform. If you're looking for books, there are those for books. If you're looking for general, information, there's Google is the famous one, and there are others. So I think while developing the searching skills, we need to know the platform, because the platform makes it much easier to find what you're looking for. So in brief, that's what I want to add.
In addition to that, sometimes, as we are about to discuss the role of the teachers, sometimes teachers need to learn these searching skills to know where specifically they are going to get the content. Since in some certain circumstances, this teaching will not always going to be live with the student you are going to teach. There are situations whereby you are going to send videos, they are going to send other supplemental curriculum that is aligned with the curriculum of your school. So you need to find out where are you going to find this open educational resources that is aligned with our curriculum. So school management must teach its teachers to learn how to locate all these open educational resources that are dated by education experts. Another training has to do with live lectures. You see, it is very easy for somebody to join a webinar. It is very easy for anyone to join a class, but teaching the class requires somebody to learn certain skills. For example, how do I present my screen? Sometimes I need to juggle between my screen, and as a teacher, I need to show them something. So I need to learn how to use digital board, like Jamboard, like Wi-Fi board, and other things. And sometimes I need to record the lesson. So all these things, it takes time, and it is not something that you can just come and start teaching. Like one of my teachers, day before yesterday, was telling me he was undergoing a master's program in one of the universities in Nigeria, NBA in particular. He said the lecturer was using Zoom, but I think he didn't master the way he is going to teach Zoom. So instead for him to show them the screen, to show him his picture, to juggle between the tab, the teacher, and the classroom, and how to do things, he messed up everything. So they were really disenchanted, and they were unable to learn anything from that. So, and wallahi, there was a day I struggled to just teach somebody how to use Google Hangout for over 1 hour. He was unable to master what I was trying to teach him. So this ability to teach a teacher on how to use live lecture, this was either WebEx, Google, Microsoft Teams, Skype, Meet, Zoom, among others, is one of the responsibility of the school proprietors to teach people. Not only that, there is this what we call this screen and video recording. This is what we call screencasting. Sometimes a teacher may not always teach live lecture. There is a situation whereby he will want to have a 2-minute, 3-minute video to film himself, to edit, to convert it into an MP4 or to convert it even into an audio, send it to the student, share it to the student. So ability to use one of these tools is also a skill that a teacher needs to be trained for him to work. Right? And at the same time, I talk about Jamboard or whiteboard. You know, teachers that are teaching mathematics cannot only, for example, or teaching chemistry or teaching students how to write, cannot only show themselves during the teaching, but they need to show the students like a raised to power x plus b raised to power c is equals to x for him to do all the mathematics. So there needs to be a board where you will have like just a normal blackboard. You write ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to m, so that you demonstrate to the student. So how can I juggle between my desktop computer, then the whiteboard, which will be probably on a browser tab? How can I juggle between the two? And how can I write? How can I annotate? This is another thing that teachers need to be trained about. And not only that, there is this peer deck, Leopold, class flow, among others, what we call lesson delivery, like using Google Slideshow, using Microsoft PowerPoint, and how are you going to use peer deck while teaching students? Teachers also need to learn all this kind of transferable skills. Not only that, that is what we call assessment and feedback. These are all tools that teachers are using to teach during the distance and remote learning. So probably you can use Flipgrid, you can use Parlay, you can use Spiral, you can use Tracida. You can use all these tools, but people cannot. Some people will have to struggle. Some people doesn't need to be taught, but others need to undergo training on how can I use Flipgrid, how can I share the video I send to my students so that we can assess them and receive their feedback. Not only that, there is these tools for lesson planning. They need to understand where to find it and make their life easier in this. In addition, teachers also need to understand what we mean by flipped classroom. By flipped classroom, we mean a situation whereby a teacher may not be able to necessarily put himself into the rigor of providing live lectures to students. He may need content that are aligned to the set curriculum, so that all you need is just to go and find specific content that you need to teach and put it. You adopt a content that is not yours, but is an open content that you can use and teach your students. For example, here are some of the content from different publishers, like Desmos if you are teaching mathematics, Langzillion, CodeMonkey if you are teaching computer science to students, ReadWalk if what you are looking for is for students to learn how to read, and Future Learn and Quill provide how to teach people. Other content you can see, you can find like LiveLink if you are teaching 3-dimensional related courses like in integrated science, and is this Khan Academy, TEDx Commons, Wiki, and Common Sense Education. They are all content publishers that provide standard content to students. So it is up to teachers to look at which content can I adopt that align with my curriculum. That is the key one. Content that align with the curriculum. And there is this what we call accommodation and support for people with learning disabilities. I am not sure about Nigeria, how we really enforce this. You can see this, we have what we call accommodation, modification, and differentiation. You have a student that is a hard hearing student. How do we accommodate him? For example, if we have a hard hearing student here, this tool, if I put this caption, So if I put this caption, hard hearing students could be able to follow what I'm saying. So that is what we call an accommodation. And in fact, if you come back to this, let me go back to the main Google Meet. When I turn on caption, when I'm speaking, you will find out that the machine is able to pick what I'm saying so that it will show you. So hard hearing students could be able to grasp at least what I'm trying to speak about. So this is what we call accommodation. So as a school operator, it is your duty to look at this situation whereby how can we accommodate students that have this learning disability. Modification. By modification, there are some students that probably are colorblind. There are colors that may not be really good to students. So in these circumstances, how do we modify our content to them? There are people also that are, I can say, these students probably, you'll find out in your class, there are students that are very, very slow learners. There are students that are very fast learners. So how do we inculcate the principle of differentiation? They are in the same level, but they are all your students and they need also to have the same learning experience. So somebody who will take like 10 minutes to understand a concept, you will find a student that within 1 minute, you will be able to understand that concept. Then how do you differentiate all these instructions to all of them? So the teachers, when using this remote and teaching approach, they need to find out how do we cater for people with dyslexia? How do we cater with people with hard hearing students? How do we cater for people that are having a color blind issue? And how can we provide a content that is in braille so that people that cannot even see can be catered for? These are all things that teachers, school proprietors will have to think about. Now, let's talk about digital infrastructure. When we talk about digital infrastructure, is we need to find out how are we going to cater. For example, if you are a school proprietor and you are interested in providing this remote and distance learning education to students at home, granted, parents will take responsibility for their students to provide the machine, the data, as well as the power there. But what of your teachers? So school proprietors must find a way of providing internet data or internet dongle to all of their teachers for them to embark on this. Not only that, the devices also must be provided by the school proprietors, and not also that there is a situation whereby probably you have to provide a generator, possibly, or provide like a fuel for them to fuel their machine to provide this. So I think these are some of the challenges, some of the responsibilities of the school management in that. Then there is this communication with parents. How do you make sure that the school proprietors provide instructor contact information to the parents, the office hours, the course start and end date, course requirements and expectations, as well as professional looking instructor pictures. Now coming to teachers. Nura, are you going to take over this one?
No, continue the flow, please.
Okay. Now, we previously talk about the responsibility of the school management. We talk about the policy at hand. We talk about the training. We talk about the software. We talk about how school management will take care of people with learning disability. So these are some of the roles of the school management. Now coming to teachers. What do we expect from teachers during this remote and learning instruction? One of the things we forget to understand is learning to use technology. Teachers struggle a lot. For example, we have this bifurcation where we have what we call digital immigrants and we have what we call digital natives. You know, kids for like 8 to 10 years doesn't have problem with technology. Give them your smartphone, they will do something that you have never explored in your smartphone. But for teachers, a lot of teachers will struggle to even to open an email. Teachers will struggle to even download a document. Teachers will struggle to do something like this. So the first challenge, or the first thing we are going to do, is how one of the role of the teachers is for them to learn to use the technology. It's one thing. Another thing that a teacher will have to do for him to teach successfully during this is then using technology to teach. There are two different things. The first thing we said, you have to learn how to use the technology. The second one is using technology to teach is one of the things that, here is an example of using technology to teach. I learned some schools are using Telegram to teach students. Some schools are using WhatsApp to teach students. Yeah, this is what we have so far. But look at it. This is just an example of using technology to teach. So I asked a question here. As a teacher using a WhatsApp as a medium of delivery, how do you provide feedback to student homework? Can't you via WhatsApp? So in this scenario, you know, the first thing you need to do is a teacher is expected to learn how to access WhatsApp on his desktop computer. So how many teachers could be able to go to www.whatsapp.com in their browser, then scan the code from the setting of the WhatsApp so that they access their WhatsApp on the desktop of the computer. Then go to that student where he sent, probably he writes the answer. When he writes the answer, then his father used or his mother used the smartphone to capture the exercise on as a camera, as an image, then he sent to the teacher. So the next thing is for the teacher to download that work, convert that work either into portable document files, then use an annotation tools, probably if you are using Kami, use an annotation tools to show, yes, this one is good, but this one you have to underline, you need to do this, you need to do that. For example, I'm using this laser printer, then under this where you wrote this medium, I think this you need to do something like this. So you need to annotate, then take it back to the student and share it. I think this one, I believe not everybody could do this. So that is why we said here, using technology to teach is a skill that teachers have to develop. Besides this one, we also say another thing that teachers need to do is learning how to engage students. We know teachers can dance. We know teachers can mimic. We know teachers can do a lot of things with body language. Then how do you engage your students in a live lesson? Or how do you engage your student while you are just sending him an instruction to do this and that? So you have to learn how to integrate things that will engage the student. We will show you a simple example. Some of this is like text and image response. How do you use text and image response to engage your students? How to use an annotation while you are doing a live lecture, or you are using a self-paced asynchronous learning approach. How do you ask the student to annotate when you gave him certain work if he understands the work? Or how do we incorporate games within the lesson that we are teaching? Or how do we use interactive media? Or how do we use an open-ended question to engage our students in a remote teaching? Or we use audio response, video response, or virtual reality to teach the students. Not only that, we need to learn how to develop a content. We also need to learn how to differentiate learning for people with learning disability. So if I have a student, when I'm developing the content, and I have like 2 students that they are colorblind, how do I differentiate this content to people with colorblind? Or some of my students need breast. How can I differentiate how to do all this? Or I have a student that is dyslexic. So it is not every font that she could be able to understand. So I have to find fonts that is pleasant to the eyes of the dyslexic student. And teachers also need to learn how to have a one-on-one appointment with parents and students, because during this remote teaching, there is going to be a time where you are going to teach a live lesson. There is going to be a time when you are going to send instructions to them. That is what we call self-learning. And at the same time, there is a situation whereby you have to have a one-on-one appointment with each student, with his parents, to learn about what are his problems and how to do that. I think Nura is in the UK. He can add something here. Nura, how do you have this one-on-one appointment? Can you tell us your experience?
Sorry?
I said, can you tell us your experience with one-on-one appointment with parents and students?
Oh, yeah. My daughter is studying here, is in primary school here in London. And what they do normally is to give a timetable, and they will paste it, and every parent will choose a slot, a time slot, where you will come, and then, you listen about, you know more about your kid, what they are improving, or what you need to do at home, how to support them, and when there is a problem, how to approach the school or the management, or any suggestion you have. They have a one-on-one appointment where you can, relate with the school, and your kids more on and how they, relate or engage in class while in school. So these are some of the things I can share briefly. Actually, there are many things, but I think briefly is just like something that improve your, kids' learning experience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So now we also have to tell you that teachers need to attend personal learning network and professional development, because like this thing just came up, then we are asked to move to online learning. But there are a lot of things. I need to learn how to give a live lecture. I need to learn how to share screen. I need to learn how to record myself. I need to learn how to engage my students. And this thing, you can't do it overnight. So sometimes you need to have, there are a lot of online groups, that is what we call personal learning and professional development, where you go and learn all these things on your own. So these are all kinds of responsibilities of the teachers. Not only that, you have to learn how to provide feedback.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Go back to the previous slide, please.
This one.
Yeah. For this one, for the personal learning network, or like nowadays, technology is more like a fine art. You don't need to memorize all these technologies we are trying to see. You need to look for a problem, and then you can go to this learning, platforms, and you can even ask questions, or you can ask for existing solution to the same problem you're trying to solve. So you don't need to memorize all these kind of technologies, because there are so many. So what we need to do is to know what you want to do, and then you ask for a solution to do that. There are free ways, there are premium, those you can pay, but depending on your accessibility to the internet. So I think this is just an additional to what he said.
Yes, in addition to what you have said, Noor,
yeah.
I think this personal learning network is really, really important. For example, if you are taking students on a virtual trip, for example, if you are teaching social studies or geography, for example, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I mean, there are a lot of teachers that they have conducted the same virtual trip, so that all you need, if you are within that personal learning network, you find them on Facebook, you'll find them on different, we get examples at the end of the slide where you can get to find your own personal learning network. All you need, ask somebody, is there anybody who has done this kind of thing? People will share their slide, will share their resources free of charge, so you don't need to be putting too much pressure on you. So it is really, really important to attend personal learning network and professional development. Then we need to provide feedback to the students, since we are not seeing them face to face. So how can we provide feedback to them? There are technologies that will allow you to provide real-time feedback, video feedback, audio feedback, speakers and badges. They are all these kind of things. Let me just give you a simple example when we said this, when we talk about teachers teaching. Here is an example. Here is a lesson plan. This is for scientists. Then the teacher came out and said, do now. Send an email with your answer to today's question. What is one thing you are doing for fun while at home? This is an icebreaker. this is an icebreaker, an example of how to engage your students. What he said when he sent the lesson is send an email with your answer to today's question. What is one thing you are doing for fun while at home? Then he said, here is an agenda. Watch this video on photosynthesis, read this paragraph, answer the reading question, complete the photosynthesis organizer. Then here is an exit ticket. Take photosynthesis. Oh, let me come back. Take a photosynthesis quiz. So when you ask from here, when you ask anybody, how many skill sets does anybody require to do this? You can see this is what we call ability to present information in an aesthetic way. Look at it. This is a huge information, but within a page, you can see this is an icebreaker, how to engage the student. This is a video the teacher shared so that the student will watch this video. After he watches the video, there is a paragraph. Here is a link to the paragraph. Here is a link to the reading question. After you watch the video, you read the paragraph. Then here is a reading question. Then here is an exercise, photosynthesis organizer, how to organize the concept. He was trying to check how the student was able to understand the video, the paragraph, and answer the question. And this is quiz. At the end, he gives him quiz so that he can do the job. So you can see the amount of knowledge and skills required to teach remotely here. But and in fact, he adds a picture, a beautiful picture that will even attract the student. So you can see it makes learning easier for teachers. So this is, I think, we talked about the role of school management. We talked about the role of teachers. Now, Nura, can you take this for students?
Continue, Doctor, please.
Okay.
I'm responding to other guys trying to join.
Okay. So now talking about the students. Now, one of the things we also use is students must learn how to use technology. The second one is using technology to learn. So it's two different concepts. You have to use the learning. You have to learn how to use the technology. The second one is you have to use the technology to learn. These are some of the role of the student. It is an expectation that students will do. And there are certain expectations we expect teachers, we expect parents will work on the students. For example, number one, we expect the students to show up on time if we are going to have a live lecture. We also want students to respectively listen. And how is that going to be possible? You have a 4-year, 5-year, 6-year student, and how do we do that? It is the parents and the teachers have to figure this out. Another thing is participating in forum or discussion. There are certain forums or discussions that if the learning is not going to be live, then we want the student to participate in that. We also want students to hand in their homework on time. Not only that, we want to see how students are trying, failing, trying again. So we want to see the effort students put in learning. Not only that, it is the responsibility of students to help their colleagues, students. Now, let's talk about parents. One of the things we need to understand is the goal of distance learning is to support top learning priorities. Look at it. I would expect I paid probably like 200 or 120,000 for one of my kids. So I expect teachers to teach my son from 8 up to 2 when we have traditional based learning. Do I make this same expectation when it comes to online learning? No. It's not even possible for a teacher to teach from 8 up to 2 for so many things, the realities of life. So that is why it says that the goal of distance learning is not to replicate the school day, but the goal is to support top learning priorities. If it is English, what is the top learning priority in this semester? Is this ability to write, ability to speak, ability to form a sentence. So how do we concentrate that throughout this teaching period, my son is able to grasp this main top line inquiry? So that is one thing parents need to understand. The second thing parents need to understand, teachers and families need to work together. We have to work together. I knew during my BBC interview, one mother said she was frustrated.
Sorry, doctor, take the screen again. Somebody mistakenly also.
Okay, overtake the...
Yeah, the screen, yeah.
Okay, mommy overtook...
Yeah, present again. Is it coming up?
He's still broadcasting.
Yes, but now I can see you've taken over.
Okay, okay. I see my screen now. Hello?
Yes, I can see.
Yes, yes.
And I believe others will.
Okay. So one thing we said is teachers and families need to work together. I was saying during our BBC interview of Ra'ayi Liga, one of the mothers said she has like 4 students in different classes. Then she has to attend to this boy. She has to attend to other boys. So it means like she will no longer do the house show. He became an indirect teacher. So she was so frustrated to the extent that she cannot do this. So, and it is a reality. But the reality here is teachers and families need to work together. Because at this moment, parents have to complement teachers, because they will be the one to guide the students, to help them to do all the things teachers are doing to manage students. So in this instance, not only parents to understand that the goal of distance and remote teaching is to teach the top line priorities, they also need to understand. Sorry?
Doctor, I think you need to put the screen back up. You need to take over the screen.
Mami Bukar, please stop broadcasting.
Yes.
Probably she's working from
yeah, it's a mobile phone.
From smartphone. Yeah, mobile phone. Okay, are you able to see the screen now?
Yes, please.
Okay,
yes, we can see the
minutes. So we have 15 minutes to go, so we'll do it quickly. So we said teachers and families need to work together. Not only that, it is not realistic to replicate the school day at home. And one of the things that we said, it is not realistic to replicate the school day at home is, look at the average attention span of the kids, according to one behavioral psychologist research. He said the average attention span of 4-year-old is 8 to 12 minutes, 6 years old 12 to 18 minutes, 8 years old 16 to 24 minutes, 10-year-old 20 to 30 minutes, then 12 years old 24 to 36 minutes, 14 years old 28 to 42 minutes, 16 years old 32 to 48 minutes. So when you look at this, you will understand that it is not possible to replicate the school day. So it has to be in chunk based on the attention span of our students. Not only that, this is Farouk Ferogi. A fortnight ago, he wrote that on his Facebook page. The data that have emerged, at least in the US, shows that wholly online learning environments are too inadequate and too socially impoverished to stand in for the full college experience. This is what he said. And I challenged him. How did you arrive at this? And she showed me a lot of insights from teachers, from a lot of organizations. People are not really thinking the college experience when it comes to distance learning. So now, quickly, let's look at the challenges from the 3 perspectives, from the 4 perspectives, the perspective of the school management, the perspective of the teachers, the perspective of the parents and child quickly. So now, going back to Farooq Ferogi, professor. Farooq Ferogi is a professor of media studies, and he is a certified distance learning expert. He has been teaching online for 5 years before COVID. So what he said, students detest it. That is remote and distance learning. Parents resent it and teachers check at it. That is his opinion. And I believe some of the parents, some of the teachers will really, really agree with Farooq. Even not wholly or partially, he will agree with him. And he was saying when one of his students asked him to write a reference to her, this is what he said. I couldn't say anything about the student other than that she took and passed a class I taught her. I couldn't speak to her character, her personality, her social skills, her discursive abilities, or other non-academic attributes that are central to constructing her full portrait, because that distance learning couldn't provide everything to the student. So this is his view when he was asked to write a reference on one of his online students. Now, let's look at the school proprietors. What are some of the challenges when it comes to this? The first thing is increased expenditure. Because, for example, if you are a private school owner, you know, when you are going to charge students, parents a tuition fee, you look at the books, you look at how to pay this, you build your school fees based on what you are going to do. But if you look previously, they couldn't perform that. Now they have to buy learning management system. They have to train students. Yesterday I was reading a Google certified trainer program in the US. If you are engaging a Google certified trainer to teach for 1 hour, they said some of them were charging $520. Some of them are charging $700. The highest is saying he is charging $1,200 because of so. So how many trainings do you give your students at least? We talk about teaching them how to use learning management system, teaching them how to use recording, teaching them how to use this and that. At least you will give your teachers at least 7 different types of training. And how many hours and how many would you charge if you are asking a trainer to come and teach your students? So you will buy learning management system, you will buy the training, you will provide training to the consultant, you buy subscriptions to a lot of applications, you will have to provide internet and power to all your teachers, and then you have to buy premium content of the videos that you are going to use during your flipped classroom. So these are some of the challenges school proprietors will do. So I believe that it's going to be something between the school management now and the parents. They will say we are being overstretched. But this is the reality if we really want to teach our students. So we have to build all this into the parent tuition. Now, to teachers, see what one of the educators says. It isn't always easy for an instructor to see evidence of learning, evidence of struggle, or evidence of understanding, because you are teaching remotely. So it is not always easy for you to evaluate students based on the evidence of learning, struggle, or evidence of understanding. And here is a critical example about Hannah. A mother shared this story on Reddit. She said Hannah's class has a Zoom session each evening. Last night, she got really sad and kind of shut down. Today, her teacher come over and hang out for a bit. They chatted, read book, and just talk. This is during COVID-19. So you see, it is in the United States of America. It is in the developed countries we all looked for. But you can see that the remote and distance learning doesn't always provide a leeway for teachers. The students didn't like the experience, but the teacher has to come over and look at the social distance there. Not only that, another educator says in the online classroom, teachers do not have the luxury of reading student body language. to gauge their level of understanding while teaching. Instead, they have to rely almost entirely on tangible data points like assignment submissions, discussion posts, questions, and other work to inform student mastery. So these are some of the challenges faced by teachers. And look at it. This one I shared it on my Facebook page about a mother that says, this is a 12-year-old girl. This 12-year-old girl was having difficulty with her math homework during the lockdown. So she emailed her teacher for help. The math teacher came over, brought his whiteboard, and taught her through the window. You can see the math teacher, you can see his whiteboard, you can see the student from home. Because not every experience online can translate to human understanding. So that is why this is. So we should understand that. And from students, you will understand that some of them, they will have to struggle with technological ability on how to do something, and access to device is also a problem. Not everybody has access to device, internet access, as well as attention span. You know, this attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a real thing in our community. So how do we do that? These are all challenges. Quickly, when it comes to parents, you know, there is increased expenditure. They will have to deal with buying internet, buying machines, that is the devices, smartphone or tablet or computer. They have to deal with buying fuel to power this. And at the same time, their tuition fee will blossom. So they will have to pay additional fee that will be charged by the school proprietors. And time and attention. Wallahi, it is not every parent they will have this kind of, some they have 8 kids, some they have 9 kids, and they have to do the household activities, and their parents may not be around. So how do you manage like 8 kids in the school? So time and attention, and you have to be a second teacher. These are all some of the challenges. So at the long run, we have an extra resources here. We have a personal learning network. This is personal learning network. We are going to share the recording. We are going to share the screen, the slides. So some of the places you can go and do this personal learning network. Remember, we talk about personal learning network and professional development. And I think it's good if some of you will take it as a challenge. You will be proficient in using technology, education technology, if you can go and become a certified educator 1, certified educator 2, and if you are not looking for anything, data, then just learn these places. Even if you are not going to take the exam, you can enroll in this training. It's a self-paced training. I promise you will not regret doing that training. You will learn a lot from it. So probably look at it. And besides, there are other places you can get badges, EdFogul, certified educator, distance learning expert, NEAFO certified educator, Genius to classify. This one you will learn all how to use and integrate technologies here. And for those that attend and are interested in having a certificate of attendance, we designed a certificate for you. So we are going to send an evaluation form. Once you fill the evaluation form, in less than 4 minutes, you will get your certificate of attendance. Now it is your turn, question and answer. Remember, I said I gave you, I think I will put the slide question and answer. You can send your question here.
And Dr. Najib, yeah, thanks for the good presentation. And I just want to add something.
Okay.
We discuss about technologies, hardware, software, approach, online platforms. Most of the things we have listed or discussed today, they are best managed or used with laptop computers or desktop computers. So when you're using mobile phone, usually you struggle a lot, especially if you don't know the platform you're using. So if you want to create content and you want to engage very well, using laptop computers or desktop computers are best, but mobile devices or phablets or tablets, they are supportive, or maybe you are on the go or an emergency or something like that, you can support. But usually if you really want to work and get the right content to the right target audience, I think the best way is to use laptops and desktops machines. So this is what I want to add.
Thank you so much. I think what you have said is really, really important, because people will become very, very frustrated and say, how can I use this?
Yeah.
So please, if you have question, you can either send it through this one, through this, or you scan here, or you can put in your question, please, via chat.
Via chat, yeah.
And you can unmute yourself, please, to speak.
Yeah, you can even speak right away, because the presentation is over. You can either here.
Yeah. Okay, Aisha says, can WhatsApp be used to conduct an exam? And please, what is the best app to use for conducting an exam? It all boils down to the philosophy of the school. But if you are going to use the best learning management, learning management platform, I think it will be good if you can use Nearpod, or you can use Google Classroom to do that.
Yeah.
For Nearpod, those who are interested in using Nearpod, in the next 6 months, Nearpod is free for all schools. All you need is just for you to go there. If you have a website for your school, apply, they will give you access to their platform free of charge. And if you have, this is the website. Let me just show you the Nearpod website where you can apply. It will be better for you, nearpod.com. So they will be happy. Can you see where they said impacted by school closure? We can help. Learn more. So for throughout, or in addition, you go and use Google Suite for Education. You see, you sign up for free teacher account, get Nearpod for your school or district, sign up for live webinar access, distance learning resources. So this is absolutely good. I think you will really enjoy it. This is the platform I will advise you, because it is easy to create, it is easy to engage, and it is easy to share with students. And let me show you another one that will be Teach from Home. Google. Please, are you seeing my screen?
We can see.
Okay. So this, I just Google Teach from Home.google. You can see they will give you a lot of tools there, and students you can use for teaching, you can use for exams. So I think, Aisha, probably this might work for you. Either Teach from Home, or you can use Peer Deck. There is another one called Peer Deck. They also provide depending on the one you really like. And I gave you different.
Yes, and Dr. Najib, let me add something here. When it comes to distant exam, depends on how do you want to assess the participants or the students. For example, during this COVID lockdown, I read somewhere that there are some universities or some schools, they change the assessment criteria for some courses. For example, you want somebody to take exam at home, so their senior colleague or junior, sisters or brothers, they can help them pass everything. So they change the criteria, the assessment criteria. So they have to do some assignment project, to get a bigger weight. And then the exam, they can do it online. You can just get something just to get a sense of how much they learn on that topic. So actually, it depends on what are the conditions you want for that particular exam. If it is possible, you can use it using distant learning or WhatsApp platform, or there are a lot of tools, dozens of them. But you need to look at the condition and what you want to, achieve by, conducting the distant one. So I think, you need to weigh a lot
Yeah,
of factors are,
excellent.
at play.
Excellent question.
Yeah. Okay. So any other?
Yes.
Okay, I think
Yes.
you can speak.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Morning
Good
too.
morning.
Good morning, Dr. Chief and others. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, my name is Umar Farooq Bengiria from Federal University.
Now,
I would like to express my appreciation to the organizers of this momentous webinar this time. We really appreciate your effort, and we learn a lot from this presentation. So we thank you very much, and we are looking forward to organize such a webinar so that we can benefit a lot from it. Thank you very much.
thank you so much for your kind words. Nora, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think we've covered most of the things, and I think we're good to go as
Hello.
the time has.
Assalamu
If
alaikum.
there's Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam.
I have a question I want the presenter to address. Thank you for the presentation. My question has to do with parents that have interest of homeschooling, even beyond COVID-19 lockdown, because there are parents that are interested in homeschooling. Are there any platform in Nigeria or any recognized bodies or institutions that are into online teaching for homeschooling? Or how can we, if there are no platforms, how can organizations like yours harness those platforms for people that, as an alternative for people that want to engage in homeschooling for their children? Thank you.
Nora, can you answer the question, please?
Okay, so you can. So from what we learned, or from the BBC interview conducted last Friday, I think, not yesterday, the 2 Fridays ago, we don't have such things, and a lot of state government policy makers, and they struggle a lot in adopting this kind of distance or homeschooling, as you call it, anyway. But because I take it homeschooling, something student can learn at home, right? Am I correct?
Yes, yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So actually there are no known established, homeschooling platforms right away, but there are a lot of them out there in the advanced countries. Like here, I'm in London. My daughter is in primary 1, but every day they use different homeschooling tools to send her assignment, homework, some activities, sometimes even play games, so that she keeps on learning. Those, if there are parents that are interested on these kind of things, we can do a survey and find out what are the technical challenges we would have, especially in Nigeria, and then we can recommend and incorporate this kind of thing, because there are a lot of free ones. You don't need to spend a dime, to have them. So they're very good. It's possible we can do it, but we need to find a way of, to introduce it and then make it useful. So I don't know how the policy, works in Nigeria a lot, but depends on how the policy makers accept this kind of innovation into the educational system. Dr. Najib is around. I believe he is doing some homework to understand how to do this kind of, initiative and implement them so that they can be useful. Is something possible? But I don't think there is a known platform that people can, engage their kids in homeschooling so far. So, Dr. Najib, is there something you can help add, please?
For Nigeria, I'm not sure the policy makers allow for that. And remember, some of the private schools in Nigeria, I think, like during the BBC interview, one of the commissioners over there said that they learned some schools in Gombe, private schools, are currently operating, and they said they are against the school as a state policy, so they will be punished. So even if private school will be punished, what can you say about an independent homeschooling? Where will your students go and sit for the exam? That is one of the questions. However, if you are looking for resources, go to our website, openschool.sook.ng. You will find out a lot of resources there where we pointed out where people can go and engage in this home learning. And we specifically gave out some of the websites and some of the documents that may be useful to you. Probably, Nura, can you drop the name of the website so that you can go and look over?
Yeah.
Okay. We dropped the link so you can go and look over, because there are lots of tools we shared there. It is resources that you can explore there if you are interested in the homeschooling. Thank you so much for your question. So we already had like 6 minutes. Wa alaikum assalam.
Comment and a question.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we really appreciate your presentation. It's a good one, particularly for those of us that are in teaching. We thank you, and we hope it will continue. My question is, most of what we are discussing are knowledge-based discussions.
Now,
how will you relate this to skills or competency-based training, particularly with respect to our circumstance in our country?
So, engineer, can you please reference that is background sound? I don't know where it is coming from. Engineer, can you please reference your question?
Okay, my question is, most of the discussion we've been having now are knowledge-based training. How will you relate this to skills-based training? What is your opinion on remote skill-based training?
Okay, skill-based training. Okay.
Yes.
If you remember that.
Remote blended skill-based training.
Yes. Yeah. If you remember, the doctor mentioned a lot of tools. There are different technology tools for different kinds of skill-based remote testing, training. For example, when you think about drawing or carpentry, there are a lot of courses or platforms that are designed to help you do this kind of carpentry. It's something that you do at home, but there are tools that will help you demonstrate as a teacher to say this is how you can do this. There are some 3D application platform where you can have an object, you can see different sides, so depending on exactly what you want to do, there are tools that are designed specifically for this kind of set of skills. That's why I mentioned earlier that whatever you want to do, you need to do some search and say, okay, how can I deliver a course, a distant learning course on so topic. So you will see a lot of ideas and solution to this kind of problem. So
Okay.
yeah, it depends on exactly what you want to deliver, but there are a lot of them because they do everything online. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So I think thank you so much for your time and effort. We are going to drop.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, my name is Saleh Adamukwaru, and I'm calling from Kano. Let me start by also appreciating Najib and Nuruddin for this wonderful presentation. I'm sure all of us that have glued to this presentation will have really value addition to what we know and what we are supposed to do. Concerning the homeschooling, COVID-19 has exposed the world to many innovations. And part of it is this homeschooling initiative. For us here, it is something that is really new. And most schools, especially the early schools, have tried to key into this initiative. Unfortunately, some schools decided to bring it as an opportunity to get additional revenue from parents.
Oh no, yes.
And that's why some authorities, regulators came in to try to stop the initiative. But for me, I think this is something that we really need to encourage schools, all private schools if possible, to key in so as to continue to encourage learning, and the learning continues. Schools here in Nigeria are in lockdown for 4 months, and we know the consequence it will have on the students.
Yes.
I don't know how it is in the developing nations. Are the regulators trying to do something to control the system, or allowed the educators to continue to provide this homeschooling so that the system cannot have any break?
Yes.
Thank you very much once again for the opportunity to participate in this webinar.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for the question, for the comment and the question. Actually,
sorry
okay.
for coming in. I'm Yunus Yakubu from Bauchi. I'm Yunus Yakubu from Bauchi.
Okay.
I'm into that skills development. I'm a quality assurance manager.
Okay.
So as my friend asked from Engineer MS Abdul Qadir, actually I am into assessment, quality assurance assessment. So for long we've been talking on how we can use remote assessment, how we can induct our learners, how we can assess our learners. It's a skill-based training, and it's teaching by showing and learning by doing. So the learner has to go to real site and be doing work for him to be able to meet the requirements of the learning criteria, performance criteria outcomes. So still I will appreciate to have more insight on how to effectively do online assessment.
Okay. All right, so thank you. Let me start by the first question regarding the homeschooling. Actually, the COVID-19 has shown the world a lot of things. Even here in advanced countries, they are learning by being forced into this kind of lockdown situation. Because I'm lucky I have a daughter in school. So I've been following the developments, how they are changing even policy, legislations, laws, new laws are created just for this COVID-19. What they do is they keep on the schools, even though everyone is at home. Like I told you, every day they send my daughter what to do for that day. And in the evening, we'll have to upload it onto the internet platform they provided, and they will assess her based on that. And they will be, checking based on the game she's playing. There are platforms for the kid, for example, where she can log in, and whatever she does, where she make mistake, where she does everything, they see from there. And they can access her, and they can correct her if there is need. They can even call from the school phones. So actually, the schools kept on going even though there is no physical classrooms. So it's possible to do that because the government policy, legislation, and new laws were created to support that. As you mentioned, in Africa and unfortunately in Nigeria, most of the things we do, we look for opportunities to make more money from whatever situation. And maybe that is why the policymakers or the stakeholders try to come in and say, okay, let's protect the people from being abused, or misused. The thing is, if there is organization, or for example private school organizations or parents teachers association, we can start a discussion from that. Technology nowadays, for example, here in London or in UK, you can have a platform where students can go and log in, and the career company that provides the data service can give it free. So you don't need to pay for it. So if the government and policy makers come in and say, okay, MTN, Glow, or whatever network, if this educational platforms that we want you to allow free access to, they can find a way of doing that, because the government can have a policy, maybe through the Nigerian Communication Commission or some other means, to say there is a problem and we need to solve this problem by doing so. This is our policy and this is what we want you to support. So the school, the parents, the government can work together and provide solutions to all these kind of things. It's possible. I believe some of you may be aware of Facebook Free, Basic Free, I think something like that. This is something that they work between career company and the Facebook company, and says, okay, this is what we can give free, because maybe it's for educational or for social purpose or for whatever reason. So it's possible to create this kind of policies. So I think you need to initiate a platform to start discussing, and then you engage the policymakers and educate them the importance and the use of this kind of, technology or home learning opportunity. The world is changing forever, so definitely there must be a blended option for learning and continuing schooling at home. I hope this gives you a little background on what we need to do. And when I go back to Bauchi, regarding the quality assessment, assurance assessment, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. There are, when it comes to physical visit, there are some platforms that create alternative, for example, virtual reality or virtual tower. So I think Google, they have an expedition or something like that. So if it is not specifically, for example, you say only in Nigeria you can do that, then maybe you may be limited to what you can do. But otherwise, for example, if it is a geography, for example, you want to talk about mountains, for example. So you can look for mountains around the world and ask them to go on a virtual tower and study something, and you need them to report back, or they can use some videos, to support the learning, but depends on what you want to get from the assessment. You remember Dr. Najib showed Hyperdoc, a slide where teacher can provide different links for different learning resources. So you can create a virtual tower like Google. They have a platform, they give it free. You can just go there, create a tower, and ask student or participant to go and learn something, and then they will come back and report whatever you want to do. So as I said, it depends on what you want to, the assessment criteria. Must you have to be physically in the location to assess, or if it is provided virtually, you can do that. So there are a lot of opportunities you can do this kind of assessment. Another thing is some platforms, they allow you to create your own contents of assessment. For example, you want people to go and look for Zuma Rock in Abuja, for example. So not everybody can travel down to Abuja. Maybe there is lockdown, interstate, problem, a lot of things. You can go there, create a virtual 3D of that same Zuma Rock, and then you put it online, so that whatever you want to assess the participants from, you can use that created content. It's your own. So there are platforms that can allow you to do this kind of, content creation for learning purposes. So I think, because I don't really know exactly what you do in the quality assessment, but there are ways you can walk around and see, you deliver remote learning and, distance. So
Thank
I don't
you.
know if
Okay, I think Malam
addressed
Nura,
your question.
we are supposed to stop by 11:15, and we now added nearly like 40 minutes after that.
Yes.
So I think we have to
Yes.
stop somewhere. So thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to meeting you in our next webinar. Please look at the chart. I put in the evaluation. So please kindly take a time and give us a feedback on how to do better. After you get your certificate, like 4 minutes after you submit, you will get an automatic certificate of attendance. It is here. I put it there in the chat. Thank you so much for your time and for your sacrifice. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Alaikum salam.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye, Manura.